Now, what's going to determine where you grip first is pretty simple. It's what's available. Okay, so and that's going to depend on your opponent's posture. If they're tall and standing like this, their upper body is far away, then we're certainly going to be looking to attach to a leg. If, especially in the gi, but even no gi, the first control you're going to get against someone who's low and leading with their head and their arms is almost always going to be somewhere on the upper body, and then working to, if you lack lower body guards, you'll have to work from there to start to isolate the lower body.
One thing I want to look at now and quickly address is the pathway that our foot is making when we're pulling guard. So a common thing that people do, it's not the most ideal thing you want to be doing either, is shooting your foot in one direct pathway to the hip or the bicep without some kind of strong control where we can separate and create the space. So we can separate our opponent's elbow from their hip and knee. So as I go to shoot my foot to the hip, I'm actually exposing myself to a pass. As I go to shoot my foot to my hip, my opponent can pin one leg to the floor and start to staple his leg over my leg. You can also be at risk of other passes like bullfighter passes as well. So more commonly, especially with the more dexterous guard players, you will see that whenever they pull guard, they don't bring their foot into this straight pathway. They don't go in one plane. They first circle to the outside, and then they come over the top, and then they have the option of going to the shoulder, bicep, or the hip. So with this exact same example that I showed previously, instead of going straight for the hip or bicep, I'm going to fall to my side, and I'm going to bring my leg up and to the shoulder. And now from here, I'm in a better spot to pummel my feet. So the issue with the first type of guard pull was that I'm basically giving my opponent the ability to reach for my leg. So again, with this other approach, I'm taking away his ability to reach for my leg because I'm pummeling it quite far away from him and over the top.
A key thing to be thinking about in terms of we're in this position where no one has grips on each other yet. One of the main things you don't want to allow your opponent to grip is your legs, because that's really our strongest weapon to push away. So obviously there are some upper body controls you don't want them to get, but generally if Ari's reaching for my upper body, it allows me to counter grip as well, and that can let me start to control. Whereas if he's going for my legs and I allow him to control my legs, grab my legs here, it can be a lot more difficult to actually establish control here, because it's all going to be upper body frames keeping distance. It's much worse scenario for me if I let him grab my legs, and that could be if I'm seated or if I'm or if I'm on my back. If I allow him to control my legs, this is going to be generally a bad thing. So how do we go about avoiding that? Well, the posture that I have myself here when I'm seated is I tend to want to bring my elbows forward and really have my arms protecting my legs. Okay, so if I'm here, my arms are covering the legs, I'm ready to fight this grip. I'm not reaching up here where I give a big gap for Ari to go for my legs first. Okay, so we want to put our elbows in front, pretty much in front of our shins here, blocking that particular entry, and then we can start to attack from there. If you're on your back, again, similar thing. I don't want to have my legs extended where that's going to be the first grip that will occur. Okay, you need go back. If I'm on my back, I need my feet close, and I need them to be moving so that when Ari's trying to reach for that, it might allow me to start to control his arms. Okay, so you want to have your arms in range to intercept and grip fight for any grip they're trying to take on your leg. One additional thing, which is important for this as well, is if Ari is front on with me and I'm pummeling my legs like this, it's still actually the furthest away he can be from my arms to get a grip here. If I give a little angle and I play more from here, you can see I have a much better ability to engage my arms secondary to my legs. So if I'm working here and looking for grips, it tends to be a little easier to reach for the upper body or potentially to the lower body. than if I am front on trying to pummel my legs to get this.